If you've ever switched to a sidearm because it's faster than reloading, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Guys, today we're talking about sidearms and airsoft and whether or not you actually need these things. Usually in airsoft, you just have your primary weapon and you'll be good to go. But sometimes there are situations that call for using it. But before we get into that, guys, the comment section is absolutely out of control. You guys are loving these videos, you're loving the podcast, and you keep comparing me to whoever this grand thumb guy is. But ladies, gentlemen, am I often forgotten, but not by me. Tokyo Marui Desert Eagles. Guys, let's get right into the video. So there are three situations that I've thought of where you can actually use a sidearm. So the obvious situation is switching to your pistol is faster than reloading. So if you're shooting, you run out of bullets and you get back up, is it actually faster to switch to your handgun? So if I were to shoot 1, 2, 3, reload, okay, that wasn't too bad. But what if I switch to my pistol instead? Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's definitely a lot faster. And of course, that depends on how good you are at actually switching to your pistol and how good you are at actually doing the speed reload. But depending on the system you're using, if you're not using an AR-15, if you're using something like an MP5 or even an AK. And of course, none of this really matters if you don't have training, if you aren't good at reloading quickly, or if you aren't good at actually drawing your sidearm. It doesn't really matter. We aren't video game characters where the animations are completely consistent every single time. But in theory, if you are training, it is a lot faster too. You could also do a little trick where you just hold it up and get it out just like this. Pretty easy, so you can have best of both worlds. Modern Warfare 2, game mechanics, work in real life, who would have thought? But let's talk specifically for airsoft. So I run 30 round magazines, so I am actually forcing myself where I have to draw my sidearm quite often, actually reload quite often. But in reality, a lot of airsoft players, besides the beloved gas blowback players, are playing with mid caps that shoot 80 or 100, 200 rounds. So very seldom, they're not gonna be reloading as often. And if they are, they'll probably be in a pretty safe situation. But for me, we only have 30 rounds, 20 rounds, whatever low caps. It does really force you to use your training of reloads as well as switching to your pistol. So again, depends on the context of how you actually play and what kind of player you are. But if you are that kind of player, it is invaluable to have a sidearm. Just make sure you're training. The second situation I can think of is CQB and very tight CQB, like your ex-girlfriend before she got ran through by everybody. But even with my SBR, which is very small, 10.5, getting through CQB, you can use all these different kinds of techniques. You can shoulder the stock, you can do your high ready, your low ready. You can kind of cheese it a little bit and kind of shoot like this if you want. But there are some situations where it is really, really too tight to do anything. So it's a lot easier to just take out a pistol and be able to go through a tight little hallway or a tight little crevice where you can have the full capability of your weapon system without it being neutered by weird contorted positions. Now, exclusively to airsoft. If you think about it, if I'm presenting my rifle, present my rifle with the full stock, present my rifle like this. Look how much space I am actually taking up here, and that's with a full shouldered position. If I take up my handgun and use the proper position, it's around the same, right? One more time. 1, 2. It's around the same with the proper positioning and the proper form, right? Now, exclusively to airsoft, there's no recoil. So you don't need to brace, you don't need to get ready for recoil, you don't even need that proper stance. So more often than not, a lot of players who are experienced will actually adapt to a CQB stance, and that specifically is the reason why airsoft pistols are great for CQB, because you don't have to present. You can actually hold the pistol like this, and look how much space and real estate I'm actually taking up. No problem, I can easily aim, take advantage of every little space, use that whole John Wick car system, and I don't have to worry about the thing blowing up in my face. But sometimes if you put it too close, it'll hit you in the face. So instead of presenting fully, you just present halfway and you'll be able to go through. You'll be able to use your pistol in a very weird way. You can use it, go around corners, make sure you're not blind firing, and you can take advantage of the tiny little space you have. That's of course, if you have a proper pistol and you're not using a deagle, you're trying to go around with the deagle. But at that point, any full-size pistol like an M17 will drastically reduce your profile if you know what you're doing. But for us real steel guys, not me, presenting fully doesn't really help you in the context of airsoft. So take advantage of the lack of recoil. So the next one is obviously functions. Now, there have been a number of times where I've used gas rifles where the nozzle jams, double feeds, gas mag purges, something goes wrong, especially in CQB when you just meet somebody. It happens more often than not. And when it's an AG, maybe your battery gets disconnected, maybe something goes wrong with your ETU, maybe you double feed. A common thing with Tokyo Maruis is semi-lock. So when you're shooting too fast on semi, it doesn't cycle all the way and the gun locks up. Have to go to full auto and release that thing. That can happen, and it happens when you think it's not gonna happen. So instead of having to field strip your rifle, take it apart, find out what's going on, easily just switch to your pistol. There was one time I was in a hotel and my Mark 18 during a breach completely shit the bed, and I had to field strip that thing, had no time, pulled out my 1911 with 7 rounds in there, and we were able to get very close to the objective. But without that sidearm, I would have been absolutely screwed and useless. So obviously a sidearm is perfect for those emergency situations, and they happen more often than not. And on the topic of gas blowback guns, because they are mechanical, they have a better trigger response. So if you're in CQB and you're in that emergency situation, that trigger is gonna be a lot more reliable, giving you maintain your gun and making sure it works and hope it doesn't break either. The pistol most likely have a better trigger response in those emergency situations. So that is definitely helpful. And of course, the last reason why you should use a sidearm in airsoft is because it looks cool. You have your whole kit going on, you have your plate carrier, you have your really cool rifle, you have your belt set up, and you don't have a pistol on there? Looks kind of weird. Don't forget, guys, airsoft is 90% LARP, 10% gameplay, and an extra 10% looking cool. So M17 by Lilacs over here looks really cool on my kit. Whatever I'm going for, PMC, doesn't matter. Maybe get a Glock, kind of fits your police look. If you want to go for a World War II look, there we go. We got the M1911, and somehow you will get this thing stuffed in there. I don't know if this will look cool or not, but hey, it's a Desert Eagle, can't go wrong. But yeah, airsoft is a game of fun, and what's more fun than looking like your favorite action heroes or Lucas Botkin with their Glock 17 on the field, looking like a badass. And gas blowbacks are super fun. Yeah. So just an extra bit of advice. Which sidearm should you actually get? If you are in Japan watching this video, get a Tokyo Marui. They're reliable, they work, and they have a whole slew of selections for Glocks, 1911s, Desert Eagles, whatever you can think of, they got it. If you're overseas, use whatever brand is reliable to you, and start with a popular system that has a lot of parts. Maybe not get a Desert Eagle, there aren't a lot of parts for that. 1911s, maybe not. Their gas efficiency isn't that good, but a high kappa, which is the 2011, is probably a great choice to start. Of course, Glock is a great choice. There are so many different Glocks out there. They're simple to use, kind of go with everything. And of course, sponsored, not sponsored, the M17 CO2. CO2 handguns are very good. You can use all season, but if you have the choice to use green gas, maybe Chinese green gas, black gas, blue gas, rainbow gas. I don't know what's going on. You guys got so much gas, and here in Japan, we only have Duster or CO2. But those are my suggestions. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you use a sidearm in airsoft, and which one do you use? Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more airsoft videos, go ahead, click this video right here, and hope that this video doesn't get demonetized.